Your season-long fantasy football lineup is locked in and ready for action, but you don't have to wait till Week 16 to get paid. Put your fantasy skills to the test starting Sunday at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site where you could kick the season off by winning $2 million. It's the biggest fantasy football contest ever. $10 million in prizes are up for grabs, including $2 million for first place and $1 million for second. One-week fantasy means no season-long commitments. It's fantasy football on demand. Play where you want, when you want, with the players you want. Then turn your love of football into a life-changing payday. Just pick up your players, pile up the points, and pick up the cash. That's it. You've never experienced football like this. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code SPREAKER to play for free for a shot at $2 million in the Week 1 Millionaire Maker. Enter SPREAKER for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliate stations coast to coast present
Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue.
The 0-2, swing and a miss, strike three, blew it past it.
Discussing baseball, good drinks, and food.
And you got your honey mustard?
I love mustard.
With Ted Hicks and Lee Vowell.
Well, big deal. I am very professional.
On the Happy Hour Network.
Welcome to Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue with Ted and Lee. Like us on Facebook, follow us on the Twitter at Baseball Beer BBQ, and read us on our blog site, baseballbeerbbq.com. Our guest will be Zach Petersall. Zach writes for MetsVibe.com, so we'll be discussing Mets with him. Ted, who else do we have to thank?
As always, we have our good friends I-95 Sports Network, Back Sports Page, RF Sports, XRP Radio in the UK, and our friends at NGSC Sports that powers us on the iHeartRadio app. And most importantly, via Twitter, CJ Computers NC, where their 100,000 or so followers like to give us a shout out from time to time. And hey, if it's all about residential computer support, CJ Computer Services has it fully under control in the Raleigh-Durham area, and I'm going to leave it there.
Well, before we get into baseball, I actually have a joy that I want to share with the congregation. So I live about half a mile from the high school football field, Blankenship Field, home of the Oak Ridge High School Wildcats. And I know that you were on the show, Nikki X, when Kwayu Graham was on it. Kwayu was an assistant coach at Oak Ridge. Went to Oak Ridge. He was a head football coach in North Carolina for a while and actually won the NFL, the Gatorade High School Football Coach of the Year when he was there. And he came back home because he's from Oak Ridge, wanted to help kind of rebuild the team. Traditionally a great football team in Oak Ridge. And they have a guy, it's a wide receiver right now, T. Higgins, who will probably be playing on Sundays eventually in 4 years. He's that good. I mean, 6'4", he's 200. He's ridiculously good. So anyway, last night, the Wildcats won 55-16, and the head football coach of UT, Butch Jones, and the receivers coach, Zach Azzani, were both at the game. But the joy of the game last night wasn't that T. Higgins scored another touchdown because he has to score every game. I think it's in his contract, but is the fact that Kwayu's son, Jordan, actually had, like, if anybody was showing up to watch the game, they could have gone to see Jordan, because Jordan ran the opening kickoff back for 91 yards, scored on touchdown runs of 60 and 59 yards. And I don't know if I mentioned this, the kid's 14 years old. He's a freshman. So, I already texted Kwayu and said, man, congratulations to your family, because it's such a good family, such a good, really good, caring family that it's good when good things happen to good people. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Jordan Graham and Kwayu and his family, because Kwayu's always been good about coming onto the shows. And as deeper we get into football season, things like that, and baseball season's over, we're going to have different guests. So maybe we'll try to get Kwayu back on the show just because he makes the show. He makes me a better person just by being around him, to be honest. So anyway, that's the joy I wanted to share with the congregation. So let's get straight into baseball. The Texas Rangers overtook the Houston Astros. They lead 2.5 games over the Astros at this point, 3 in the loss column, to the maybe making some people who are guests on this show who have shouted out, "Oh, nobody believed me about the Astros." Well, the season's not over. The Astros could still win their division, but at this point, they're only a game up in the wild card over the Twins. So the Astros, who are not playing well at all, I think they're 2-8 in their last 10. I don't think anybody had the Rangers nor the Astros, at least the hosts of this show, winning their division. I'm kind of shocked by these two teams, but I'm more surprised at the Rangers, who, I was thinking, they're getting Cole Hamels. Why are they doing that? They obviously knew better than I did personally. So are you surprised the Rangers have overtaken? You're not surprised that the Rangers have overtaken the Astros, because you were saying a month and a half ago you think the Astros will still only win 80 games, and they probably will win more than that, but there's a chance they may not, the way they're playing. They've got 77 wins right now and a whole lot of time left in the season. So are you surprised the Rangers are not who we thought they were at this point?
Not at all. Not at all. The Rangers are a well put together team. I will say this: each year in and out, you can expect the Rangers to be contending for the playoffs, or even when they're not, they're still mixing it up. So you like what the front office is doing. The Astros, and I'm not sure what position Nolan Ryan has with them, if he's CEO or consultant, but the Astros have overachieved. We all know that. They will win their 80 games, so egg on my face. And to the person that said...
That's Nolan Ryan texting you right now, isn't it?
That's Nolan Ryan texting me right now. It's hey, he's like, I told you, Ted. But no, I mean, we expected them to come back to earth at some point in time. And will they make it into, the playoffs? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? It's kind of nowadays... Where I kind of like it is win your division if you want to get into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I'll leave it there.
And there's Nolan again. Nolan's happy with that response. So, I totally agree, because even if you don't win your division, you're kind of in the playoffs, but it's a 1-game playoff. So, you take your chances with what you got in that one game. I'd rather win my division and actually be in a series already. So, let's move on to the Mets and Yankees, the Subway Series. Before we talk a little bit or at length as far as what you thought about the game last night, because you were there at Citi Field, Cespedes was talking about his contract before the game last night. Said he didn't really talk dollars that I saw. You may have seen some more than I saw, but he said he definitely wanted 6 years. That's that. According to Cespedes, my only hope is to stay healthy, he said. I'm not thinking about a contract, but I do know that I will be looking for a contract that is 6 years or more. Has to be 6 years or more. We'll see what happens. So, your thoughts on that, and then just tell us about the experience of being at Citi last night when the Mets won 5-1.
Great experience last night. Before the game, there was a little bit of buzz in the area about, Cespedes, because when you seen the, I guess, that little ticker, it says 6 years, and some people took it as he wants 6 years at $36 million per year, and I was like, no, not at all. So that was one thing. 6 years, I think 5 to 6 years is a good deal for a player of this caliber. You're gonna get him when he's in his prime, during his prime years, and you're gonna get him on the tail end. So these contracts are pretty tricky. We'll see how this unfolds. I'm sure the bidding war is going to start for this guy. Trust me. He's going to get the 120 or 150 or 170 million dollars, whatever. This guy's going to get. Last night, as I said, the area, just riding the train. I'll share this with you. So I work in a city. And I decided probably the night before, I'm going to drive my car to Citi Field, park it, hop on the 7 train, and then go to work downtown. Everything worked. I was able to park. This was coming back from the city. The train was so packed. The 7 train The 2 and the 3 were packed. Nothing but Yankees and Mets fans, everyone buzzing about Subway Series. The fact that meaningful baseball is happening in Queens is one thing, but the second is for the Yankees and Mets to be playing this late in the season and for the game to actually mean what it meant. A lot of people are saying, oh, it meant more for the Yankees because of what they're dealing with. With the Blue Jays and the wild card. And like you said, the wild card is a one-game season. It's your one-game playoff, and anything can happen. But stadium was packed. Yankee fans, Mets fans. I mean, it was all about taking back New York last night. And I was just glad that Familia, he usually makes things interesting, but last night it was like, okay, let's end this. And he had a couple of people on base. So expecting the same energy today. And then I'll be back tomorrow night at Citi Field for Harvey against CeCe. The return of Matt Harvey in front of the Citi Field crowd. That should be very interesting. And knowing that this guy is going to be possibly a short outing. I don't know. It could be 3 innings, could be 4 innings. Some people started getting creative and said, well, maybe we should, not start him and bring him in, from the 4th inning on. So, but it was a great night last night.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I hadn't thought about that, about bringing him in later. It seems like it wouldn't be an innings thing anyway. It'd be like a pitch number.
Right.
If he pitches, 75 pitches, and 75 pitches sometimes get you into the 3rd inning, sometimes it gets you into the 7th inning. It just depends on how efficient you're being with your pitches. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. It's kind of a shame. We're going to talk more about that with Zach from Mets Vibe in just a few minutes and get his take on what he thinks about the Harvey situation and the Mets overall. And you brought it up, the Yankees and the Mets, both of those teams really are going to be in the playoffs because the Yankees are way up in the wild card in the American League. There's no reason they shouldn't make the wild card at least. So it's good for New York. It's good for baseball. When you have both New York teams playing and they're going to both be in the playoffs, that's good for baseball. It really is. You need the big cities to do well. Another interesting thing just about Cespedes real fast, since he's come over from the Tigers, and it wasn't like he was a schlub with the Tigers. He was doing pretty well. But since he's come over from the Tigers with the Mets, he's batting .289, 17 home runs, 42 RBI in 44 games. By comparison, Manny Ramirez, the year he came over from the Red Sox to the Dodgers, actually same kind of trading deadline deal. Beyond July 31st with the Dodgers, he hit .396, .489, and .743 ops. So, it's not uncommon for a guy to produce really well, but I think you brought it up in a tweet earlier this week. It's not just that he's producing Cespedes, it's when he gets his hits.
Right.
That really seem to make a difference. So, it'll be interesting. Hopefully, 29, there's a few teams who have given up on him. Hopefully the Mets can re-sign him and he'll be productive and they won't get him at a contract that's exorbitant because, I don't know how the Mets want to do that. You say they're kind of strapped money-wise, so it'll be interesting to see what they do, if anything, even if they try to make a play for Cespedes. Do you think the fans expect Cespedes to re-sign with the Mets, or are they just like, they're happy with what he's doing now, they don't really care if he re-signs?
Oh, no. The fans are chirping. The buzz is, we want this guy back. But when it comes down to, when you just state the facts, I don't know if this is doable because it's a double-edged sword with this guy, hitting the cover off the ball every other night, smacking home runs this month. If it's feasible, if it's financially viable for this to happen. So we don't know that. We got to see, because when it comes down to it, what will the Wilpons do? I think they're going to be forced to offer this guy a competitive contract.
Well, moving on to my Dodgers, who are 18-5 in the last 23. So they, after I tweeted out that I didn't think they'd make the playoffs, obviously all the Dodgers read my tweets. That must be it. And they were motivated to improve. Either that or Jimmy Rollins got hurt and the team got better. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but the guy who's taken his place, Corey Seager, September call-up, a guy that Dodger fans have kind of been waiting on, the Dodgers have been patient on, which they should have. You don't want to rush a guy. But since he's come up, he's hitting .412, .508, .647 ops. Again, he gets hits kind of like Cespedes does in big settings. I'll say this, when Jimmy Rollins does come back, he's got a sprained right index finger. He probably could play if he had to, but the Seager started 10 straight games. Even going into the Dodgers at this point should make the playoffs. I mean, it's kind of like the Mets. If the Mets and Dodgers, if neither of those teams make the playoffs, something really bad has happened along the line. But Seager should be starting in the playoffs, and Jimmy Rollins should be sitting on the bench. Either that, or if Howie Kendrick can't go, then you've got Rollins and Seager. But Seager should be starting when he gets to be in the playoffs. He's proven that, being patient on a guy actually can work. Maybe he's hot right now, but he's sustained it for the whole month so far. So it's not like he came up, had a few hot games, and his numbers are still up. I mean, the guy's getting power. He's hitting for power. He's fielding okay, but his batting is something the Dodgers need and sorely lack in the playoffs the last few years. A guy who will be missed in the playoffs, Kong of the Pirates, he's going to be out 6 to 8 months. How much do you think this affects the Pirates going into the playoffs?
Major loss. The Pirates are scary. The Pirates are so scary because my buddy Roy, who works in the mailroom at my job, he's a diehard Pirates fan, and we just talk NL Central. And every week we talk about how the NL Central scares both of us, whether you're a Mets or Dodgers fan. But will they miss him? Yes, they're going to miss him. But Pirates have a pretty strong team. They have a pretty strong team, and if we blink, they could overtake the Cardinals, because I think there's still 3 games left with Cardinals and Pirates head up, right?
Yeah, but I think that they seem to be falling back. They're only a game ahead of the Cubs at this point. The problem is the Pirates seem to have they've started not playing very well. The Cubs just took 3 or 4 from the Pirates and losing Kong. I don't know if you saw how he got hurt on the slide by Coughlin of Chicago. A lot of people were saying it was a dirty slide. Basically, this is how Sports Illustrated put it. The Pirates' chances of overtaking the Cardinals in the National League Central suffered a serious blow this week as they lost 3 out of 4 games. So the Cubs at home, the most devastating aspect of that defeat came on Thursday when Kong was lost for the remainder of the season and the start of next season, of course, 6 to 8 months, due to a severe injury to his left knee, one caused by a takeout slide by Chicago's Coughlin. I think Kong he came over from Korea. A lot of people expected him to put up power numbers, not hit really well, but he's fielded extremely well. And his average is 287. That's pretty good. 355, 461. He's got solid numbers across the board. I think it's a big blow to the Pirates. Even if they make it, the Cubs, the Pirates, and the Cardinals are all going to make it into the playoffs. It's really just a matter at this point of who's going to play in that wild card game. It looks like it's probably going to be the Pirates and the Cubs still, but anybody can win in one game. But moving forward, if the Pirates were to win that wild card game, losing Kong is just a huge blow. They're playing the Pirates are playing the Dodgers this weekend, which, again, I don't want the Dodgers to win, but the Pirates caught the Dodgers at a bad time because Dodgers had Greinke going last night. They've got Kershaw going tonight. It's a 3-game series. You're going to face Greinke and Kershaw 2 out of the 3. That's kind of tough. So I don't know if they really can catch the Cardinals at this point, but they're still going to be in the playoffs. But losing Kong is a huge blow. Right after this, we are actually going to be joined by Zach Petersel of Mets Vibe, and we're going to talk Mets and playoffs and more. So stay with us. Listen to this ad from DraftKings.
Your season-long fantasy football lineup is locked in and ready for action, but you don't have to wait till Week 16 to get paid. Put your fantasy skills to the test starting Sunday at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site where you could kick the season off by winning $2 million. It's the biggest fantasy football contest ever. $10 million in prizes are up for grabs, including $2 million for first place and $1 million for second. 1 week fantasy means no season-long commitments. It's fantasy football on demand. Play where you want, when you want, with the players you want. Then turn your love of football into a life-changing payday. Just pick up your players, pile up the points, and pick up the cash. That's it. You've never experienced football like this. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code SPREAKER to play for free for a shot at $2 million in the Week 1 Millionaire Maker. Enter SPREAKER for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
And we now welcome Zach Petersell to the show. Zach is a writer at Mets Vibe. That's MetsVibe.com. Zach, thanks for being on with us.
My pleasure, guys. Good time to be a Mets fan.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And Ted was at the game last night at Citi Field to watch the Yankees and Mets. So, obviously the Mets are in first place. They should be going to the playoffs. There's no reason they shouldn't make the playoffs at this point. In fact, they have to make the playoffs, even in the wild card, but they should win their division. Many people did not have the Mets picked to win the division. So what's your biggest surprise about the Mets from this season?
I definitely agree with that. We're pretty much a year, maybe even 2 years ahead of when I thought we'd make the playoffs. In July we had John Mayberry Jr. and Eric Campbell as our fourth and fifth hitters. So I pretty much thought the season would be a wash, but definitely just the crazy turnaround from how the team couldn't hit in the beginning of the season to now we're basically the best lineup in baseball, and just really dominating teams with hitting. Pitching carried the team for the first 4 months, and now the pitching struggling, but definitely the turnaround with all the hitting, and Cespedes obviously taking over the city. It's just been a crazy turnaround to watch.
Yeah, and you brought up the pitching, and obviously Cespedes has been huge, and we're going to talk about him in just a second, but there's so much talk right now about Matt Harvey's innings being limited or his pitch count being limited. Tommy John, the guy who had the first surgery, says that Harvey should throw more innings, not less. What are your thoughts on the situation?
For me, I'm far from a doctor, and it's just, I think it's difficult for fans to have a good answer for that. Personally, I think it's so dependent on just every individual pitcher. The Nationals handled Steven Strasburg pretty much perfectly. They monitored every start, every inning, every pitch count, and yet he still breaks down every season. So for me, I would just have to depend on Matt Harvey feels. I'd love to see him keep pitching. I think they've monitored every start. He hasn't really gone over past 110 pitches, I don't think, in any start this season. He's only at 178 innings or around that level. I think that's the max of his career. So as long as he feels good and feels right, I think he should keep pitching. But again, since every pitcher is so different, it's really hard to have an exact science or an exact answer for it.
Hey Zach, with the magic number being 8, we're going to assume the Mets make the playoffs. What shape do you see the rotation taking?
With the Mets, I'm always scared that they're going to make the playoffs, so I'm still going to say it's a potential playoff rotation. But I think even though despite his recent struggles, DeGrom has to be the game one starter. He's been so good all year. He was dominant in the All-Star game, so he kind of showed a brief picture of his ability to pitch in the spotlight. So I think he's game one. I think Harvey has to be game 2, but again, we really have no idea how many innings he can throw or if he's even going to be pitching. If he's limited to 4 innings, I wouldn't want him starting game 2. I think Steven Matz proved a ton last night. I actually wrote an article on it. I think he deserves to be in the rotation. And based on what he did last night, I would pitch him in game 2, and then Harvey Syndergaard in games 3 and 4. Again, depending on Harvey's status, I guess we can call it.
I guess New York is calling him Cespe, but Cespedes has only played for the Mets a quarter of the season, but he's made a huge difference. To those who want to argue that a starting pitcher could be your MVP, Cespedes has played a few more games than any starting pitcher would, and therefore could be in the MVP discussion. At least in New York, he's in that discussion. Do you think Cespedes should get votes for the MVP?
I definitely think so. As we kind of alluded to earlier, the Mets offense was brutally terrible in the first half. Then they get Cespedes, and Now they're the best offense in the National League. So it's definitely one of those things where he's completely changed the culture and the environment in New York. Now the Mets have gone from a second-place team to a first-place team, made a fringe playoff contender, and now they're a potential World Series threat. So he's definitely turned around and become one of the most valuable players on one of the best teams. So I think that definitely qualifies him. But after just reading a couple of stats on Bryce Harper and how dominant he's been, I really think he has to get it. I saw a stat yesterday where his season's worth something like $74 million in terms of salary, and that's what he would be owed based on just his general value. So I think it's hard to discount just how good Harper's been, and even though the Nationals are thankfully looking like they're not going to make the playoffs, I think he still should get the award. But Cespedes should definitely be up there, get some votes.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm a Dodgers fan and always have been. And, Manny Ramirez put up even a little bit better numbers than Cespedes when he came over from the Red Sox for the Dodgers, last decade. And he actually got enough votes to finish fourth, which I was not aware of until I was trying to do a little research for this show. And we brought it up last week, the fact that one thing I had not thought of is that Kershaw, for instance, won the MVP last year, and Cespedes has played more games. I mean, it's just, as you pointed out, huge difference that he's made on that team. So, he mentioned yesterday that he would like a 6-year or more contract, whoever he signs with, 6 or more years. How much money should the Mets, realistically set aside to try to sign Cespedes? And is he, at this point, a must-sign just based on fan reaction for them in this offseason to sign?
Do you think the Mets actually have money that they can sign him? I don't know if they've ever had money outside of David Wright money that they can sign anyone more than $20 million. But if hypothetically you want to say they have the money, I think 6 and 7 years is a stretch. He's taken over the city, but he's the type of player, his skill set is one that declines quickly. He's a power hitter. He doesn't hit for average, doesn't really get on base by the walk. He's been better with the Mets, but once the quick twitch muscles go, and he's going to be 30, so if he signs till he's 36 or 37, that means we're paying, let's say if he gets a 6-year, $130 million deal. So then we'd be paying $70 million, goes back 3 years, where I doubt he'll be 34, 35, 36. The power won't be there. He'll be very much like a Jason Bay type hitter, where he would still provide good value in the field with his arm and with his glove. But I don't think you pay long-term for a player's past success. You try to pay for his future success. And just his value skyrocketed so dramatically. I think no matter what the Mets do, the fans won't like it because they'll either overpay or let him go. But I think the right thing is to let him go, have Conforto in left next year. You have Lagares in center with someone who can hit right-handed pitching, just platoon him, and then we get Granderson in right. So it's not like the outfield would be a weakness. It just won't be as good for the next few years without Cespedes.
Yeah, and another outfielder that they have, Curtis Granderson. I was at City last year, and he gets kind of a rough reaction from the crowd, to be honest. But he seems to be a really good person. So I hated to see, and I know baseball fans in general can be hard on players, but do you personally feel that Granderson, the signing, has been a good one for the Mets?
Yeah, I think he's been the second best player on the Mets this year, at least positionally. He's been such a dynamic force atop the Mets lineup, and it's been so consistent. I understand he doesn't hit lefties anymore. He's hitting something around like 150 against him this year. But it's just his style and his approach. And it seems like every game he draws leadoff walk, and he's always on base. It just sets a good tone for the lineup that I agreed. I admittedly wasn't really happy with the signing. I thought it was too many years, too much money. I didn't think his power would translate to Citi Field from Yankee Stadium, which I guess technically it hasn't. But across baseball, power is pretty down, and his 20 to 30 home runs, he's leading the league in walks. He's up there. He has a 360 on base. So it's definitely surprised me how well he's played this season, but I think he's been a great signing.
Zach, tell me, what teams do you see being the toughest matchups for the Mets in the postseason in the National League?
I mean, we could just start off with the Dodgers, since that looks like the likely first-round opponent. Frankly, I'm not really that scared of them, but I mean, with Kershaw and Greinke, it's really hard to predict how the playoffs are going to go. If Kershaw kind of overcomes his playoff struggles, and Greinke, who has a history of anxiety issues, if he can overcome those and pitch well on the big stage, the Mets, no matter how well their lineup plays or pitchers pitch, might not even matter if Kershaw and Greinke do their thing. The Dodgers lineup doesn't really concern me that much. Their bullpen's been terrible. So it really all depends on Kershaw and Greinke, but those are two pretty good things to depend on, so I'd be worried there. The Cubs, it looks like they're going to make it and play the Pirates. Those are probably the two teams I fear the most for the Mets. The Pirates are perennially underrated, but their lineup is so deep and so strong. They just lost the shortstop, Jung Ho Kang, to a pretty serious knee injury, but they should be able to overcome that. They still have Garrett Cole and Liriano and Burnett in the rotation. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball. They're just a very deep team overall, and that's what you need in the playoffs, where anyone can really beat you. So I'd be very scared of them. The Cubs have been the best team in the National League over the second half. They have Jake Arrieta, who may or may not win the Cy Young. He'll finish in the top three. They have John Lester. Their lineup is as deep and as strong as anybody's. So their biggest weakness is probably the bullpen, because they don't really have any sort of strength back there, which could be a pivotal weakness in the playoffs. But I think the Mets would beat them. I think they would probably lose to the Pirates, but I think they'll beat the Dodgers as well. And then the Cardinals, they're always the Cardinals. They're always good. I just don't really fear them this season. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's the lack of Adam Wainwright, but I don't know. It should be a very interesting playoffs for the NL. I don't really think there's a clear favorite, and so I'm just happy if the Mets make it, that they have a shot for the first time since '06.
How big do you think it would be for New York if we had a replay, was it 2000, of the Mets and Yankees World Series, which is definitely a possibility? And the other question I have is, if it is the Mets and the Yankees, do you think that's good for baseball overall, or you think it's just so New York-centric that a lot of baseball fans tune it out?
As much as I would hate to root for the Yankees, I've been thinking about that too, and I would love to see it just as a selfish New York fan. But I don't think, just going to your point, I don't think the 2000 World Series did that well for baseball for that exact reason. I think people just, I don't know what the reason would be. They just, they don't want to follow the arrogant New York fan or the stereotype that the New York fan is dominating their TV or what have you, so they wouldn't really watch. I would love it. So that's really what's most important to me. But, I mean, I think a Yankees-Dodgers series or something along those lines, or a Yankees-Cubs would do 5 to 10 times better. But, yeah, if a Subway Series happened, I would be beyond ecstatic. That'd be great. I don't know if the Yankees have the talent to get there, but would be great.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting postseason, as you said. The the National League basically is set, but there is no clear-cut favorite because all the teams are good. So it should be interesting to see how it plays out. But Zach, we want to thank you for being on the show today. Will you let people know where you can be found?
Yeah, sure. So it's pretty simple. It's metsvibe.com, metsvibe.com, and then that's my Twitter handle as well, metsvibe. So yeah. Always ready to talk baseball. Doesn't have to be Mets, statistics, what have you. Feel free to reach out.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets. the streets. Where do they go? To meet the Mets. Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets. All the fans. To meet the Mets. Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets. All the fans. To meet the Mets. All the fans are true to the orange and blue. So hurry up and come on down. 'Cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell. Give 'em a hand. And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life. Because the Mets are really stopping the ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side. Everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York town. Of New York town.
Thanks again to Zach from Mets Vibe for being our guest today. He was great, and it's always good, especially for Ted, to talk Mets baseball, but it's always good to talk successful baseball teams and get his take on. I'm glad he was at least mentioned the Dodgers, because their lineup is, I don't know. Of course, in the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen, really. So
You never really do. You never really do know. I mean, I think, kind of the tone of this show is, yeah, it's great to get into the wild card, but like I said, it's just one game. And who's calling me now?
Nolan Ryan.
Oh, my God.
Nolan, he can't pitch today. Easy. Let's talk a few more things before we let our rabid fans go for the Saturday. The pitch clocks used in minor league baseball seem to be having an effect. Leagues that use 20-second pitch clocks instead of the 30-second pitch clocks that some leagues have. 20-second pitch clocks this season cut 12 minutes from their average game time, double the 6-minute overall drop in the minors, which, again, a lot of the leagues use 30 seconds. I'm not sure if were you able to make any minor league games this year? I mean, not necessarily you have to, because you're in a city that has 2 major league teams, but I went to a couple of minor league games and I got to experience that pitch clock, and it definitely speeds up the game. The pitcher, with nobody on base, they definitely are pitching faster. The game is faster, and I'll be honest, it's a little bit more enjoyable. Your thoughts on that?
I didn't get a chance to attend any minor league games this season. A faster game, I mean, hey, that's what the world wants. A quicker game, and you can stand on the line waiting for your beer twice as long, and no one has a problem with that.
Absolutely. Also, Cubs manager Joe Maddon, who doesn't coach a minor league team, he coaches or manages the Cubs, unleashed a tirade directed at the St. Louis Cardinals on Friday after first baseman Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs was hit by a pitch in the 7th inning of the team's 8-3 victory. The Cubs believe Cardinals reliever Matt Belisle intentionally threw at Rizzo in retaliation for St. Louis outfielder Matt Holliday being hit. Matt Holliday actually showing an appearance this year because he always seems to get injured. Being hit by a pitch on the helmet in the 5th inning, Rizzo was hit on the leg by Belisle, who was ejected along with Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. It's funny because, this is what Madden said. I'm really disappointed in what the Cardinals did right there. We did not hit their guy on purpose. That was an absolute mistake. To become this vigilante group that wants to get their own pound of flesh, that's absolutely insane, ridiculous, and wrong. We don't start stuff, but we will stop stuff. And then he went on to compare the Cardinals to Toronto. I'm not sure if you saw that. So it was kind of interesting. But, I mean, a couple of thoughts on this. First of all, these teams are going to be probably battling each other now for several years. So this may be something we get used to because both teams are good. The other thing is, if the Cardinals actually retaliated for Holiday getting hit, and maybe they did. They hit the guy in the leg. You know what I'm saying? They didn't hit him in the head. So is that really the worst thing in the world, do you think?
I'm just still stuck on the fact that Tony Soprano was referenced. So I kind of like that. Retaliation, someone getting hit in the leg versus someone getting hit in the head. Two different things. That's dirty baseball. That's dirty baseball. But once again, what are we talking about? The NL Central. Comes down to it. I've got a feeling, as much as I'm a Mets homer, I got a feeling coming out of the National League is going to be one of those three teams in the World Series.
Well, I hope not. For our sakes, I hope that the National League Central teams go down hard in the playoffs because we're fans of the other two teams. Nothing against the Central team.
I know. It's just something about them. I mean, rough and tumble. And I can tell you the Mets record this year between the Pirates and the Cubs, 0-13.
Ooh.
Not sure about the Dodgers record, but yeah.
I'll just go ahead and jinx them and say they're 0-13 so that they actually can beat them. So everything I seem to say about the Dodgers seems to work the opposite way. So let's take a look at the standings real fast. The American League really is almost what matters because the National League should be set as far as, except for maybe the Cubs jump the Pirates. Who knows? The Blue Jays lead the Yankees by 4 in the loss column. The Royals lead everybody else in the NL Central by 300 games. The Rangers are 3 up over the Astros, but only 4 up over the Angels. So the Angels are they're hanging in there. I mean, it looks like they're 2 back in the games back, but really they're just a game back because they're a game back in the loss column, and that's really what matters. The Mets lead the Nationals by 8 games in the loss column. Cardinals 5 up over the Pirates and 6 up over the Cubs. And the Dodgers lead the Giants, even though it's 8.5, it's 9 games in the loss column. So it's just crazy how set the National League is. And a quick look at the wild card standings: the Yankees 4 up, so they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Astros kind of there, but they're tied in the loss column with the Twins, and a game up over the Angels in the loss column, and only 2 games up over the Indians, who seem to have come from nowhere. I mean, it's hard to believe that the Indians are only 3 back in what they have, because it seems like they've just been nothing all year long, to be honest. And the Pirates and the Cubs lead everybody else by 9 games. So the Giants are actually closer in their own division than they are in the wild card, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have the 5 teams in the National League, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens with that last wild card in the American League. And if the Astros don't make the playoffs at this point after leading the entire year, that's, man, you hate to say any team choked, but
oh yeah,
they choked.
They choked. Hey, I just want to mention, so the magic number for the Royals is 6, or?
Oh no, actually the magic number for the Royals started off the season at -162. So they could have literally lost every game and still made the playoffs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's funny that we don't see the magic numbers like we used to because of the wild card. It used to be like there was a parentheses in the standings. This is what you need. Now you actually have to search for the magic number because it's just, the Mets are going to make the playoff. Even if they don't win their division, which they most assuredly will, the Nationals would have to – I think at this point I saw the Mets would have to go 8-8 in their last 16. The Nationals would have 16-0, which is not going to happen. Yes. So it's done. The Mets are going to be better than 500, and the Nationals aren't going to lose a game. So let's more thoughts.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just taking a look at the standings, and once again, some comments I'll hold off until next week, because I think we were talking about what gets you into the wild card and what doesn't get you into the wild card, and I think once again I was wrong. I think before I was screaming, 87, 88 games will get you into the tournament, but there's a few teams that stepped it up this year, so those numbers are a little low. But
did all the National League teams, could they have 90 wins?
Yes.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, wow. Yeah, they could. Everyone could have 90.
Yeah, normally you're right. I mean, this is just a weird year. It's just we have five Floyd Mayweathers, and then we have a bunch of Manny Pacquiaos. It's crazy what the National League is like this year. But, one thing that is really crazy, and we're going to end the show with a couple of non-baseball items. Real quick, Kobe Bryant's been cleared to play. It's got to be his last season, right?
It's got to be.
Do we even care? Do we even care he's coming back?
Not necessarily. I think this is the last season that Mitch Kupchak, that sweetheart deal that he signed, that 2-year, $48 million deal, that was Mitch Kupchak saying thank you. We thank you. The Lakers organization thanks you, and goodbye.
Yeah, he's not good for that team. I mean, we've talked about it before, maybe not on this show, but on other shows we've been hosts of, and it's just whatever you think about Kobe personally, he's not good for a team.
No.
And teams that have won, and I'm sure people are going to hate me for saying this, but it's well known that he's not necessarily there's 1 and 1A on the teams. You had Shaq.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's crazy. He's not good. The team isn't any better when he's on it, to be honest. They may win a few games, but they're not better. They're not a better organization.
It's okay. Yes, he's won five rings. Yes, one of the greatest players of all time. And yes, I don't want to make this comparison, but you look at a Carmelo. Carmelo isn't good for a team. And I know some people are going to be like, stick to baseball, guys. You don't know what you're talking about. But it's the truth. You sit here and you look at this and you're like, okay, you're not a team leader. You're not a true team leader. You don't make people around you better. You jack 35 shots up a night because you want to make sure, you're you're leading the league in scoring. But, it's I can't wait until once baseball season winds down and we can kind of dip our toes into these other professional sports organizations and leagues, and we're going to get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because when it's not baseball season anymore, every week is your Bayern Munich show. And, we'll talk baseball, and then we'll talk Bayern Munich, Bundesliga, for about 50 minutes.
Who?
No, I'm just kidding.
Who?
Bayern Munich.
Who?
So, anyway, we'll end the show with this, because I definitely want to get Ted's take on this. The Buffalo Bills, they killed the Colts. I mean, it was 27-14, but it wasn't that close last week. The Patriots won, of course. Now the Patriots, they have to go to Buffalo to play, and Rex Ryan is an extremely good defensive coach, and Rex Ryan does the whole city of Buffalo ready for this game. Is it a little bit like the Patriots or Colonel Custard and they're just about to get annihilated in Wyoming?
I would think so. Having Rex as your head coach those first couple of years, no matter what organization is, the organization is, he gets you so fired up, so motivated that you can believe that you would put your head through a wall or you name it. Rex has a pretty damn good team. The fact that he has the right pieces around him. On offense, hey, he's got it on the defensive end. He's got his DC from his days with the Jets also there. I just hope the Bills just kick their teeth in. I mean, I just, for one, and it's not a knock against Sporty Diva or this one or WEI or Murph or anyone, I just can't stand the Patriots. I really can't. And maybe that's me being the abused Jets fan when I'm not on, baseball, beer, and barbecue. But I'm actually rooting for Buffalo tomorrow to annihilate them.
Yeah, I think most, Rex Ryan is a very polarizing figure, but I think there's a lot of NFL fans out there who are rooting for the Bills. And it's not just Deflategate. It's, all the stuff that's come out lately about how teams had to kind of put out fake game plans in their locker room because they knew the Patriots would. I mean, that's not right. That's just not right. Stop it, Patriots. You're better than that. But I'll say this: Mike Salk on 710 ESPN Seattle put it really well, I think, succinctly when he there was mention of Deflategate and the Patriots, and he said, I think the way most NFL fans view it, unless you're a fan of the Patriots, is it's two entities that people just don't like. So they don't care who wins or loses. We just don't like either side. We don't like Roger Goodell and we don't like the Patriots, honestly. So, it is what it is. But, yeah, I hope. It's funny. The Bills were the fourth best defense in the NFL last season. What they do? They added Rex Ryan, who will make almost any NFL defense better.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about definitely a team that should make the playoffs, I think, and may make a deep run with that. What wins your championships? Defense.
Hey, I got a question for you. What was the name of the coach that opted out of his deal with the Buffalo Bills? And how dumb is that?
Well, he's the new co-host of Baseball Beer. No, I'm just kidding. Was that Dave Maroney?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hey,
that guy just had an ego. I mean, Rex Ryan, you say what he wants, but Maroney, he cares about his players, and his players care about him, which says a lot. But Maroney, he just didn't seem to be liked by anybody. No. So it's probably best that he left.
Hey, just flipping back to baseball, just got a text.
Baseball from Nolan Ryan.
The Mets to skip Jacob deGrom's Tuesday appearance versus the Braves to manage his innings. Here we go again. Go again. Come on.
I know, but maybe it's one of these things. They're so far out. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win their division. It doesn't. Maybe they're just like, it's not uncommon now. It's a bigger deal because the Mets are talking about we need to hold Harvey back and yada yada yada. But it's not uncommon for a team that's definitely going to make the playoffs to kind of rest their pitchers going into the playoffs. I guess it's not the end of the world. It's okay. As long as once they get in the playoffs, if he's pitching effectively and pitching well, he's pitching 7 innings in the game, at least.
Right, but if you're pulling him out after 4 innings in the playoffs.
Oh, that's stupid.
And then you burn through your bullpen, and then you're sitting there scratching your head.
Yeah, that's just stupid. Well, that's our show for this week, Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue. We actually have a special Wednesday night show podcast next week. And I think I made you aware of that, Ted. But our guest this coming Wednesday will be a guest who talks Astros. So hopefully they're in a better position than they are currently. So otherwise it might be a depressing talk. But thanks for listening and have a great week.
The fans hoping to catch a little bit of the old-time religion right here, baby. With Junior stepping up to the plate. Here comes the stretch. And the pitch to Junior on the way. Swing and a fly ball hit to deep right center field. That baby is going to be fly away. The old-time religion lives. Junior does it. A 2-run home run.